Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a seriously wild story from the life of Jesus. We've got intense family drama, kind of spooky empty houses, hearts built like armored fortresses, and the ultimate secret to joining the absolute greatest family in the entire universe. So, let's jump right in.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to do something really good? Maybe you're helping a friend or focusing really hard on a big project, and your own family just doesn't get it? Like maybe they even thought you were acting a little crazy? Well, believe it or not, Jesus felt exactly the same way. In fact, his own brothers were actually embarrassed by him.
Which brings us to section 1, when family doesn't understand.
So, let's set the scene here. Jesus was out doing these amazing, miraculous things, but his family, they were super worried. And why were they worried? Well, he was working all day, praying all night, and even skipping meals just to help these massive crowds of people. Plus, he was making the powerful religious bosses, the Pharisees, really angry. His family was basically judging him like just another normal guy, completely missing his totally divine mission to save the world. And to make matters worse, those religious bosses threw out a terrible accusation. They literally claimed Jesus was using Satan's power to do miracles. Unbelievable, right? But Jesus fired right back with a massive warning. He told them that calling God's Holy Spirit evil is a huge, huge mistake. If you stubbornly reject the Holy Spirit, you're basically hanging up the phone on God. You're cutting off the only way He can forgive you and guide you.
This leads us to our first big takeaway. Lesson 1, watch what you say.
Jesus dropped this super powerful truth. He said, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh." Okay, but what does that mean in normal words? It means your mouth is basically like a giant flashing neon sign that shows exactly what's hiding inside your heart. So if your heart is full of love, out come kind words. But if your heart is full of anger, out come mean words. It's really that simple. And this creates what we can call the boomerang effect of careless words. It usually starts with just a tiny, maybe jealous thought popping into your head. Then you let it out by speaking a careless, mean word. But here is the crazy part. Once you say it out loud, your own words actually trick your brain into believing the lie. Words are literally like boomerangs. You throw out something mean and it flies right back and actually changes who you are on the inside.
Moving on to lesson 2, keep your heart full.
To explain this, Jesus told a slightly spooky but super important story. Imagine an evil spirit gets kicked out of a person, right? And it wanders around looking for a new home. Finding nothing, it decides to go back to its old house, which is the person's heart. It finds the heart all cleaned up, swept out, but completely empty. And because nothing good was put inside to guard it, that spirit goes and grabs 7 of its worst, scariest friends, and they rush right back in to take over.
You see, Jesus was warning us that just stopping your bad habits isn't quite enough. To keep the enemy out, your heart needs to be impregnable. Now, think of the most epic, unbreakable video game fortress, with giant stone walls that no enemy can ever glitch or smash through. That is exactly what your heart needs to be.
So the big question is, who guards your fortress? Well, you've got 2 choices. You can have an empty heart, which sure might be clean for a minute, but Satan will easily sneak right back in. Or you can have a heart completely yielded to Christ. The ultimate defense isn't just trying really, really hard to be a good kid. It's actively inviting Jesus to live inside you. Because when He's there, God's own angels guard your gates 24/7, and absolutely no evil can break in.
And that takes us to lesson 3, joining Jesus' true family.
So, right in the middle of Jesus teaching all these epic things about word boomerangs and heart fortresses, He gets interrupted. A message arrives that His earthly mother and His brothers are standing outside, and they want Him to stop teaching, leave the crowd, and just go back to being a normal guy. But instead of packing up and doing what His earthly relatives wanted, Jesus used this exact interruption for His best lesson yet. He looked around at the crowd, stretched out His hand, and asked this completely shocking question. Who is my mother, and who are my brethren?
Then He dropped this incredible answer. "For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same as my brother and sister and mother." Wow. In just one sentence, Jesus totally rewrote the rules of family. He basically said that anyone, and yes, that includes you, who believes in Him and chooses to do God's will is tied to Him even closer than his own blood relatives.
Now, to understand how wild this really is, we have to look at an ancient law called the kinsman redeemer. Back in the day, if you lost absolutely everything and had to become a servant just to pay your debts, your closest family member, your kinsman, had the legal right to swoop in, pay off your massive debt, and rescue you.
And you guys, this is exactly what Jesus did for us. Humanity lost everything because of sin, and we desperately needed a rescue mission. So Jesus became a human being to legally become our closest relative. He stepped in, paid off our massive debt, and redeemed us. He literally adopted us into God's heavenly family, promising to love us even more than any earthly parent ever could.
So let's wrap this up. Remember, your words have serious boomerang power, and your heart is a fortress that only Jesus can truly protect. But the biggest question is this: will you choose to do God's will today and claim your spot in Jesus' heavenly family? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. As you go about your week, I want you to ask yourself, when you speak, are you throwing boomerangs of kindness or boomerangs of hurt? And most importantly, who is guarding the fortress of your heart right now?